Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes.
Hours ago, the jury in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation trial announced its verdict, ruling in favor of Johnny Depp. Heard was found liable for defamation against Depp and ordered to pay $15 million in damages. But because of Virginia's cap on punitive damages, Depp will get closer to $10 million. Depp was also found liable for defamation against Heard, but the damages were considerably smaller.
Against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million.
As NBC legal analyst Katie Phang pointed out, while this trial turned into a circus, in part because of the celebrity status of Heard and Depp, the verdict will have real-world consequences for survivors. Katie Phang joins us tonight, MSNBC host and legal contributor, and Liz Plank is here, author and MSNBC columnist. She co-hosts the amazing Man Enough podcast. Katie, let's start right there with your quote, real-world consequences for survivors. What do you mean?
Well, the concept is that normally in a defamation case, it's just such a high burden when you're dealing with public figures. And so we definitely had two celebrity figures that were at war in court in this particular case. But they're both claiming to be survivors of domestic violence. They're both claiming to be survivors of a particularly violent, emotionally and physically abusive, tumultuous relationship. And so if you now have an outcome that we've seen today with not only the damages amounts that were awarded by the jury in this case, which frankly, Stephanie, were a little bit odd. The fact that originally the jury came out with a verdict form that was empty when it came to the number of damages. So it kind of makes you wonder, did they really contemplate the amount of damages truly? Because they came back very quickly later on with it. But when you have an outcome like you have today with the amount of damages, and you think about the fact that actual malice was found by a jury, the fact that a public figure was able to prove that on the other side acted with the knowledge that what they were saying was false. Well, now, has that now basically created a burden that has been lowered for people that are otherwise not going to be public figures? And you also have an attorney, frankly, who was found to be liable for doing something on behalf of a client. So there's a lot of ramifications that are coming from this particular verdict today.
Liz, even before the verdict was announced, Monica Lewinsky was thinking beyond the trial. She wrote a really compelling piece for Vanity Fair, and in it she writes, "It's the larger implications for our culture that concern me the most. The ways we have stoked the flames of misogyny, and separately, the celebrity circus." I mean, it's especially telling for Monica Lewinsky, someone who truly knows both of those issues, to write this. How seriously should we take her concerns?
We should take them very seriously. And so much of this trial has felt like it's a peephole into the private lives of, wealthy and sort of out of touch celebrities. But it's really actually been much more of a mirror. It's reflected ourselves back at ourselves, right? We've been able to see where we're at as a society that, a society that is not just interested, but actually enjoys the humiliation of a woman in the way that we've seen it, not just happen on the internet, but even across conversations and the way that it's been portrayed in the media is very worrisome. The math just doesn't add up for people to take this on as their main, huge issue. Women have a much higher likelihood of being a victim of domestic violence than an innocent man being accused of abuse that he did not do. It's not to say that it never happens, but it is very rare. And so this backlash that we're seeing, right? This backlash is not because women are equal. It's because they're dangerously close to being equal. And that scares a lot of people. And so they're latching on to this case in a way that, really, again, reveals where we're at when it comes to all of these issues. That, yes, the Me Too movement has been immensely and enormously impactful for women's rights, but we're still not there yet.
This has been a brutal 6 years, 6 weeks for the two of them. Katie, is it fair to say either or during this trial, Amber Heard has been silenced because both parties literally just had their day in court?
I don't think it's a fair statement to say that Amber Heard was silenced in any way. And recall also, Stephanie, there was a similar lawsuit brought by Johnny Depp in the United Kingdom where he lost, where he sued the Sun tabloid for the same concept. And a judge in that case said, I find 12 separate incidents of domestic battery committed by you, Johnny Depp. The difference is you had it in front of a jury. And the court of public opinion, as I write in my piece, basically says, the court of public opinion crucified Amber Heard before this case was even brought to the jury to decide. And that's a critical kind of takeaway from this case as well. The fact that, according to Liz, and she's right, this people into this very sordid relationship that existed between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was then well publicized, allowed a lot of the court of public opinion to weigh in. But I also want to say very, very quickly too, Stephanie, this op-ed was an op-ed. So another kind of huge legal ramification is the idea that you could have legal exposure when you write an opinion article in a paper, because normally that's protected First Amendment free speech. So now we're creating this precedent now that you could go out and make this comment about another public figure and you could have legal exposure, and that is a very slippery slope.
Liz, this trial, it's fair to say, has taken on a life of its own. How did Johnny Depp now become sort of the face of this reactionary political movement?
Yeah. I mean, there's reports that, there's conservative outlets like the Daily Wire that have been pushing, the anti-Amber Heard hashtags. Today, the GOP Judiciary Committee, for some reason, tweeted a GIF of Johnny Depp, in Pirates of the Caribbean being this amazing, sort of glamorized man. And so it's very troubling, right? Like the pleasure with which we're humiliating Amber Heard is just as, I think, troubling as the glamorization of Johnny Depp in this story. So it's revealing this misogyny, this deep-seated misogyny in our society. And I really have to agree with Katie. Defamation trials are a weapon that could be levied against survivors of abuse more often. We know that Marilyn Manson, for example, who's friends with Johnny Depp, is pursuing that with his ex fiance, who and she's accusing him of abuse, and he's been accused of abuse by several other women. So it's very worrisome to be entering this kind of territory, and it's worrisome to see it take these political ramifications, right? That people are projecting things onto this trial that just aren't there. And I have to say, I've written about a lot of things. I write about guns, I write about abortion. I've never had as many emails as I've received about this very topic. I've heard from men who have been abused. I've heard from women who are survivors who don't believe Amber Heard and say she's hurting survivors. So there's a lot of feelings out there, and it's time for us to have that complex conversation about domestic violence. That's what I was hoping this trial would mean.
Well, that's what we're doing. We are talking. Liz Plank, Katie Phang, you both make us smarter every time you are here.